We see a huge core breaker in the lead. Of course, Gyarados, even worse than Empoleon, we're going to stay in. The opponent allows me to throw the Hydro Cannon first. And despite this being a dreadful matchup, we forced early shield advantage. The opponent is going to need to wild charge to secure the knockout. If the opponent gets greedy, they're going to find out a double resisted mirror shot just isn't going to get the job done. And trainer, we're still not in mirror shot range. Welcome back to the channel. Master League Premier Cup is around after around a year and a half hiatus, and that means one thing. Since the last time we had this cup, we've got numerous new Shadow Pokemon we didn't have access to last time. The most interesting of them all, in my opinion, is Shadow Empoleon. Dragonite is an absolute top tier threat in this meta. However, trying to cover its weaknesses can be somewhat of an issue. If you think back to Ultra League, Empoleon Dragonite core was very common due to the perfect synergy, as you can see on the screen. It's very rare I'm going to the team builder section on PvPoke and getting A for coverage with a Shadow core. If you take a look at this core's matchups against the entire meta, Dragonite mostly needs to be fearful of only the Ice types and Fairies that Empoleon handles comprehensively. I'm going to be using an ABB fake double Dragon team. I'm going to be using my Legacy Dragon Tail Shadow Gyarados as the save switch, hoping to bait out them Fairies or Ice types, clearing the path for Dragonite. You can see we do have some core breakers, stuff like Magnezone. However, that can be handled with a little bit of playing around. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we lead the Steel Penguin into the big thick boy Snorlax. This opponent heavily offends me, purifying Snorlax, so we most certainly need to get a win. It's going to take Snorlax 14 licks to the first superpower, so we're going to be able to throw Stick Steel Wings, throw the Hydro Cannon, chip and dip before the opponent has the chance to hit us for massive damage. We save switch into our Legacy Dragon Tail Shadow Gyarados, baiting out Florges exactly as the team's meant to function. Gyarados, unlike Dragonite, isn't going to take super effective from Fairy, but let's not kid ourselves, this is a dreadful matchup. The opponent opts to throw the Disarming Voice. I'll be honest, one Moonblast and a Farm Down would have been the better play, but perhaps they're just wanting to give me less farm. As the opponent's gone double Disarming Voice, they're not going to reach a Moonblast against our Steel Penguin. Of course, we do resist everything, but being only around 3200 CP, we certainly are not all that bulky in this format. You're going to see even the Disarming Voice does a very solid amount of chip damage, getting us below half health. The Penguin does get the farm down, and we are spamming the switch, hoping Dragonite can sweep the back line. The opponent temporarily brings out their purified Snorlax, then pivot out into Waterfall Gary. The ABB strategy is working perfectly. We baited out the Fairy, and Dragonite is now primed to sweep the back line. The opponent doesn't build up to an outrage. It's going to take 8 Waterfalls for the first and 7 for the second. With that in mind, I know I don't need to shield. We leave with the Dragon Claw, winning the charge move prior to event, and this will be forcing a Protect Shield off Snorlax. Dragonite has done its job, and we're going to save our Protect Shields for its partner in crime, the Penguin. I had the Superpower as well. However, if you're wondering why I didn't throw that, in case the opponent didn't play to CMP, I didn't want to lower my own attack and defense, meaning the opponent could farm down. Like this, we're just going to reach the double Hydro Cannon. The opponent throws a charge move for apparently no reason whatsoever. Of course I'm going to shield. We're going to throw the BM Drill Peck, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Drill Peck is so underwhelming, but as the opponent threw a charge move, I thought, fuck it, you're in Drill Peck range, we're going to throw it. In the next battle, we see Dragonite in the lead. The opponent save switches into the big thick boy. Once again, we're going to look for the chip and dip. We land the Hydro Cannon, and now I'm going to send out my own Dragonite. Yesterday, I was watching Homeslice Henry's video. He said people want to run outrage in this meta, so we're not going to fuck about and find out. We respect the outrage. We're then going to commit to the full Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent's only going to reach the part in Body Slam, and then we're going to leave essentially with double Dragon Claw. If the opponent returns with their own Dragonite, we'll certainly be forcing that Protect Shield back. Back out comes the opposing Dragonite. We're at the back-to-back. The opponent tanks the first. They can't tank the second, so let's see if they're going to completely sack it or look to invest the Protect Shield. We're now in the 1-to-1 shield. We're just going to let Dragonite go down. I'm going to send out Gary. Look to get ahead in energy. The opponent instantly pivots out into Ursaluna, and Ursaluna is instantly going to be greeted with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail forces the final Protect Shield. We pivot back out into the Penguin. The opponent doesn't build up to a high horsepower. I'll be honest, I don't know the tackle count, but it's a shit move. It generates energy ridiculously slow, so that certainly wasn't enough. We withstand the damage, return fire with the Hydro Cannon, near one-shotting, getting the Steel Wing farm down. We leave minimal farm for Dragonite. Gyarados with a Protect Shield, going to be more than enough to clean up, and the opponent is going to concede the match. In the next battle, we see another Dragonite in the lead. The opponent throws in between my 6th and 7th Steel Wings. This is only 13. It's 14 to the superpower, so I know I can tank that. We pivot out into Gyarados, once again drawing out the fairy. Way back in like season 12, or whenever we last had this cup, a really common team was triple flyers. And what they have in the back is usually a waterfall Gary. If that's what this opponent has, I think we're in a good spot. We actually force a protection with the Aqua Tail. The opponent does commit to the full Charm Down, Farm Down. I send out the Penguin. I'm going to be happy to shield in return. The opponent's out of potential Aura Spear, which they throw, and we're going to commit to the Steel Wing, Farm Down. And then we're going to leave with so much energy. I'm looking top right to see what comes in. The opponent sends back out the Dragon Breath Gary. So we throw the Drill Peck goes unshielded, we then pivot into our own Dragonite, looking for the snipe, which we get. Is it a Waterfall Gary in the back? Of course it is. It might be 6 seasons later, but people are just going to stick to exactly what they know. We fire off the Dragon Claw forces the Protect Shield. This is only an Aqua Tail, but fuck it, we're just going to shield. The opponent doesn't even build up to potential big move, but regardless, we're going to now be able to fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw going to be all she wrote, winning the game as quickly as possible. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see the Fairy in the lead. Ironically, this one is running Waterfall. I think if you're going to run Primarina, I like the idea of Waterfall, because you've still got play against the Dragons, and you've also got play against the Steel type, of course. This is exactly where we want to see it. As the opponent's staying in, I'm thinking, please don't be some nonsense, like triple Fairy line. With that in mind, I do shield up the Moonblast, wanting to keep the Penguin healthy. The opponent switches out into a Waterfall Gary, and I think I should have actually went to Dragonite. We've gone to Gary. Of course, both do resist water, but I think they might have another Fairy in the back. So Dragonite probably would have been the better play. We land the crunch. The opponent is going to be forced to dump another Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail, of course, from this range will secure the knockout. We are down a Protect Shield. We've got 2 very healthy Pokemon. Primarina is pretty much dead weight. We send out Dragonite. Dragonite gets a running start, and the opponent does indeed have that second Fairy in the back. We're going to throw the Superpower. Superpower, of course, isn't going to do much damage, but we'll call off the Switch Timer. Switch Timer pops up. We pivot into the Penguin, and all we've got to do is be mindful of the opponent attempting to make a catch. We throw the Drill Peck for no reason whatsoever. Of course, we're just going to shield this up. This is only an ancient power, but we need to shield everything. We're just going to continue to farm up. The opponent tries to make that catch. They get Steel Wing, Farm Down. We're going to throw 1 Steel Wing and the Hydro Cannon. Of course, we're going to survive that charm. We're doubled up on charge moves. The first one forces the final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. Get your Togepiss off my screen. In the next battle, we see Gary in the lead. A winning matchup for Gyarados. Regardless, we're going to bank some energy, pivot into Gyarados, hoping to bait out a potential Fairy in the back. The opponent throws the crunch. We withstand the damage, but unfortunately the opponent does get the defense drop. RNG sometimes can be a bitch. The opponent sends out Avalugg. We fire off Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail doesn't get the job done. The opponent can even throw Icy Wind here. To be honest, Icy Wind doesn't do all that much to Gary, but with a lower defense is going to knock out. We didn't manage to bait out a Fairy, but of course an Ice type equally as bad for Dragonite, as we take double super effective. We can send out the Penguin. We can tank whatever the opponent throws. They throw the double resistant Icy Wind, and I think that actually healed us. I reset my debuff, pivot out into Dragonite. The opponent stays in, looking to chip and dip with an Aqua Tail. I've got no idea what's in the back, so we are going to shield it up, looking to keep some health. The opponent continues to stay in. This is only an Aqua Tail, which we will tank, and we're going to leave with almost double charge moves. The opponent throws the Aqua Tail. We withstand the damage, and out comes Excadrill. You know there's no baits on this channel. We full send the first superpower, forcing the Protect Shield. The opponent going to be unable to Mud Shot, Farm Down. We're going to reach superpower number 2. Despite being debuffed, near one-shots them. The opponent still can't Mud Shot, Farm Down. They're forced to throw, all with Dragon Breath, Farm Down. They go for the BM Drill Run, which is pretty funny, and then they're going to concede the match. GG's. In the next battle, we see another Dragonite in the lead. This one is actually on Dragon Tail, so it's going to take him 5 Steel Wings to a potential superpower. I try my luck. I'm making a catch onto Gary unsuccessfully. The opponent stays in, and they send the Hurricane. Oof, we're in shambles. We just about survive. We only reach an Aqua Tail, and the opponent knows they tank that damage. We're in shambles, because if the opponent's got a potential Fairy or Ice type, we didn't bait it out. I don't want to reveal my third, so I send out the Penguin, but I'm going to be switch locked at whatever comes in. The opponent sends in Waterfall Gary, and that means they've probably got Togekiss in the back, and I'm just going to lose. Switch Timer hasn't popped up, so we're just going to throw a few Drill Pecks, allow it to cool off. We're going to pivot into Dragonite. The opponent, of course, does have Togekiss. Fair play, trainer. You got me with a Hurricane, and we are going to get absolutely wrecked, and we're going to take not really a heartbreaking loss. The opponent played really well. I get my ass kicked. We're going to send out the Penguin. I could top left, but I'm going to give the opponent the satisfaction of booming me. I'm a big fan of booms, regardless if I'm the one doing the booming or I'm the one getting the boom. The opponent, unfortunately, doesn't throw the aura spear, but regardless, they are going to pick up the dub. In the next battle, we're playing my friend Pat. Funny story, he was streaming these battles on my Discord. If you want to join my Discord, it is linked down below. He also isn't a fan of baiting and he completely wrecks me. We send out Dragonite. He sends out Annihilate. I try my luck. I catch an Ice Punch onto Gary. He knows we like to catch and he isn't falling for any of that nonsense. He full sends the Shadow Ball and once again, back-to-back games, we find ourselves in shambles. We're going to try our best at making something happen. I throw the Aqua Tail, go for an undercharge, not wanting to give Magnezone any free farm. I'm going to allow Pat to take me out. He throws the Night Slash, which does secure the knockout. I send that Dragonite, get the Dragon Breath farm down. And this way you're going to see Pat is an absolute genius. He knew I was going to switch out of that Annihilate matchup. And he's got a perfect answer for Dragonite in the back. Well played, Pat. In the next battle, we're on a 2-game losing streak and we see a dreadful lead. We say switch into our legacy, Dragon Tail Gary, and the opponent answers with their own Gary. We've got a small energy lead and I am best buddied. I have got a 13 attack. However, my defense stat is pretty good. We land the crunch, the opponent baits with the Aqua Tail Trainer. Why would you do that? We can now reach our own Aqua Tail, which will be lethal from this range, and just like that, we take back switch. The opponent sends out the big thick boy, and my best buddy Gyarados comes in clutch. We're able to survive the licks, reach the Aqua Tail, getting Snorlax below half health. We're in the 2-2 shield, and I'm just going to completely sack the Penguin. No one needs to save my Protect Shield for the potential Breaking Swipe or Dragon Claw. I say or, there's no reason to run Dragon Claw rather than Breaking Swipe. They're clones of each other, but Breaking Swipe has a 50% chance to lower my attack. We save both Protect Shields for Dragonite. We're just going to shield both these moves up, commit to the Dragon Breath farm down, and this should be GG's. The opponent's already revealed Superpower, so they don't have Outrage. So we're going to tank a Body Slam really easily. We're going to be able to Dragon Breath farm down and take that game. It's quite funny that I had a little 8-game win streak and then I saw like dreadful lead after dreadful lead. So many people complain about that and say it's the algorithm. I think it is what it is, but I did find it funny. Magnezone, fuck, this is terrible. We managed to force ourselves early shield advantage. The opponent is going to need to wild charge to knock out. They throw the double resisted mirror shot. We withstand the damage and Trainer. There still isn't mirror shot range. The Penguin tanks another one. I instant throw the Hydro Cannon and the opponent makes a very nice catch onto Dragonite, or so they'd think. That chip damage is going to be perfect for us as we can now send in Gary. We should be able to Dragon Tail farm all the way down. However, as this is Shadow on Shadow Crime, I'm using a free turn move. I think if I don't shield up that Dragon Claw, the opponent could potentially Dragon Breath farm me down before my Dragon Tail registers. You can see we're definitely in Dragon Claw range. The opponent sends back out Magnezone. I'm thinking I can reach double Aqua Tail, so I throw one Dragon Tail and the Aqua Tail. You're going to see here, I probably survived that next Volt Switch, so I should have committed to the Crunch, which does hit harder. Regardless, we get Magnezone into the yellow, and even a Crunch wouldn't have knocked out. So I suppose it makes pretty much minimal difference, but a defense drop would have been nice. We now send out Dragonite. We then catch back onto the Penguin that the opponent could have killed with the Wild Charge, using it as a third shield. Despite making the catch, the opponent has got the energy for another Wild Charge. When I played this battle, I was worried the opponent might mirror shot, fishing for the attack drop, but I'm glad I shielded as the opponent was not baiting. I then send out Glisserpod. Unfortunately for this opponent, Glisserpod is just far out stat product by the king of the Master League meta, Dragonite. Aerial Ace is just such a shit move, especially when you don't get the same type attack bonus. We can tank another one, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to leave with the Superpower and get our redemption against that UFO. Back out comes Magnezone, and they're going to be greeted with the Superpower to the face. GG's, and thanks for playing. Very nice to beat a Magnezone lead. In the next battle, this time we see Glisserpod in the lead. Of course, Drill Peck does hit for super effective, but as we're on an ABB team, we're going to bank the energy and pivot into Gary, hoping to bait out the Ice or Fairy type. The opponent stays in, looking to rebank that energy and then send out Avalugg. Mission accomplished, as Dragonite definitely don't want to see it. We land the first Aqua Tail. I said in a previous battle, Icy Wind doesn't do all that much to Gary. Trainer, you need to rock slide. The opponent throw the Icy Wind and Gyarados withstands the damage, and the opponent is now going to lose switch or be forced to shield. The opponent, of course, isn't likely to shield, as they're just free farm for our Empoleon. The opponent sends out Exeggutor, get a huge Mud Shot farm down, and we die at the Aqua Tail. Oof, we're rough. I send out the Penguin. I was hoping to show and go, but I get one turn bring in. So we don't make the catch, and we also don't sneak a Steel Wing. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. We bank all the energy, catch the double resisted drill run onto Dragonite. The opponent is staying in, so I think that means one of two things. They're either going to look to catch a Superpower onto Gliscopod or fire off the Rock Slide. They actually bank all their energy, pivot back out into Gliscopod, and that's fine for me. Dragon Claw from this range should knock out Gliscopod, and the opponent actually choose to invest a Protect Shield. We've already seen that Air Relays won't knock out from this range. We're going to tank the charge move. We're going to throw the Dragon Claw. Switch timers are misaligned, so I'm going to go for the undercharge. Leave them in Steel Wing farm down range. Pivot out into the Penguin, get the Steel Wing farm down, leave, doubled up on charge moves, and you know the drill. The first one will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Oof, another UFO. I was really hoping Magnezone was a myth when I ran this team. It certainly isn't. However, I think the correct play is doing what Pat did to me. Just straight throw the Wild Charge and look to get rid of the Penguin. Because if you overfarm, it does allow me to force ourselves early shield advantage. I'm going to call the Mirror Shot, but this opponent, far smart on that, nuked me with a Wild Charge. We send out Dragonite. The opponent sends out Gyarados. We're going to bank a charge move and then pivot into Gary. The opponent actually allows me a sneak here, which is great for me. The opponent is going to fire off the Crunch. I'm going to look to get rid of him with an Aqua Tail. However, this time the opponent throws at much better timing. I'm going to let myself get as low as possible and double up on moves. This Aqua Tail, of course, will be lethal. I'm going to anticipate the opponent sending back out Magnezone, but we're actually in one Dragon Breath range. The opponent makes the snipe, and there literally is nothing we can do at this stage. We're going to throw the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw goes unshielded. The opponent still has one Protect Shield, too high behind. The only win con is the opponent looking to shield flex. We full send the Superpower, and of course they shield. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we've got some Shadow on Shadow Crown. How I like to play this is I like to attempt to catch a Superpower, which is going to be 7 Steel Wings. However, the higher in elo you climb, the less likely you're to be able to do that, as of course the opponent would like to throw in the middle of my Steel Wing. We say switch into Gary, and the opponent chip us and then enter the Gary Mirror. Perhaps they haven't got a Fairy or Ice type, but regardless, with an energy lead, we're going to be able to get this Gary below half health. The opponent actually throw an Aqua Tail, which lets me get off one further Dragon Tail, pretty much putting them into Drill Peck range. I don't want to reveal my third yet, so we're going to just send out Empoleon. We're going to overfarm slightly, fire off the Drill Peck before the opponent even reaches an Aqua Tail. Drill Peck does secure the knockout. The opponent sends out Annihilate. We send out Dragonite. I'm really hoping they haven't got Ice Punch. I will respect it, and the opponent does have Ice Punch. The opponent actually pivot back out into Snorlax, and I think that does me a favour. We're going to tank the Body Slam, and then going to farm up. Look for the Dragon Claw on the CMP side. Shadow on Shadow Crime. I think this should be Dragon Claw range. Hopefully we force a shield, and we do. I'm thinking in the moment, how do I win this battle? I can't Steel Wing farm down, so we're going to shield up the Body Slam and attempt to power through Snorlax. I commit to the Dragon Breath farm down, and we get it. Back out comes Annihilate. Really poor discipline from me. I should have thrown one Dragon Breath and the Dragon Claw, but regardless, we bank the Dragon Claw, go for the wham, bam, combo play, pivot out into Empoleon, force the final Protect Shield, and from here the game is unlosable, as Dragonite certainly wins CMP. The opponent should be looking to counter farm down, hoping I haven't got a charge move bank. They don't commit to that play, and we have got a move bank, and we're going to pick up the dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, our target has been acquired. Togepiss. The opponent say switches into Dragonite. I'm actually going to go for the chip and dip here. We're going to fire off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck won't do all that much damage, but we actually force a Protect Shield. I'm then going to enter into Gary. I really need to keep switch. I cannot afford to get Dragonite onto their Togekiss. We're going to shield up the Dragon Claw, just in case the opponent's got something like Hurricane. We've already been boomed once. Let's not make it twice. The opponent just throw a Dragon Claw. We can tank the next one. We leave absolutely no farm for Togekiss, and we leave with a charge move banked. It would have been nice if we had enough health to survive a charm, get off double Aqua Tail, but regardless, we've got the correct alignment. We only get off one Aqua Tail, but that should put them into Steel Wing and Hydro Cannon range. Of course we know what's in the back. It's going to be Waterfall Gary. To be honest, this team's really common, however the order that they are in is pretty random. If it's a Togekiss lead, it's an easy win. If it's a Waterfall Gary lead, it's a problem. But in this instance, alignment is in our favour. The opponent shields the Dragon Claw. We're going to fire off the next Dragon Claw. There literally is nothing the opponent can do. The opponent is going to charm, farm me down. We've still got a protect shield too high behind. The opponent should really top left, and finally they recognise it's over and do indeed give me that top left. In the next battle, we see another core breaker, Golden Go. This thing has really expensive charge moves. Its cheapest one is going to be Shadow Ball, so we can throw 7 Steel Wings, get off the Hydro Cannon. I normally always pivot. However, I think Golden Go is looking to protect against fairies, so they likely have dragons in the back. With that in mind, I just completely sacked my lead. I'll be honest, this is the first Golden Go I've seen. I was just brainstorming. I think Charm wouldn't make sense because something like an Excadrill would just be such a problem for this team. I shield once, get a very nice Dragon Breath farm down, and the opponent then sends out Primarina. We've seen a lot of people running Hurricane, so I farm up well past the Hurricane, throw the Superpower, and then pivot into my Gary. The opponent continued to stay in, and now I'm thinking, what the hell is in the back? This team is so random. Well, not really random, it's just something I wasn't expecting or haven't seen before. I don't shield Gary. I think Dragonite is the better closer, and if they sent out a Waterfall Primarina, which isn't all that good into us, we're just going to put it all on Gary. Of course, I am going to shield up the Disarming Voice. We're just going to massively overfarm. Try and get as much energy as we physically can, and then fire off the Dragon Claw when they're in Dragon Claw range and we're doubled up. Is the opponent willing to shield Primarina? No, they're not. The opponent's final Pokemon is Excadrill. We've got so much energy. Of course, we're not going to make me full send the Superpower. The opponent shields the first. Oof. We've already seen that a debuff Superpower isn't going to be lethal, and the opponent is going to pick up the dub. Of course, if I baited there, I would have won, but it is what it is. Hashtag no baits on this channel. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we're out here looking for redemption, as this time we see Excadrill in the lead. The opponent switches out. To be honest, that is a far favourable matchup for Excadrill, so I'm going to take that. We bank some energy and then enter the Gary Mirror. I'm not actually all that bothered about the switch. What I want here is a shield advantage, because if we can start forcing some shields off the opponent, both Empoleon and Dragonite can one-shot that Excadrill. We do manage to force ourselves a shield advantage. We're just going to let Gary go down. Thank you very much for your contribution. We've already got a move banked on Empoleon, so I'm actually going to reveal my third here and just look to Dragon Breath farm all the way down. The opponent is going to reach a crunch, but we're not going to shield this up, as of course Mudshot offers very little fast move pressure. We do get the full Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent likely reveal their third. Let's see what they've got. The opponent's third is Florges. I pivot out into Empoleon. With a 2-to-1 shield advantage, we are looking primed to sweep. We just need to be on top of our energy. I'm just going to heavily overfarm before ever throwing a charge move. Moonblast does a lot, so I'm going to respect it. I don't want to put myself into Mudshot farm down range. The opponent finally sends out Excadrill. However, they're so behind in this matchup. The first Hydro Cannon forces the Protect Shield. Of course, I am going to shield in return. We're going to overfarm a touch. Of course, we do lose CMP, so we can't get too greedy. We fire off the Hydro Cannon, of course. Hydro Cannon going to be massive overkill. Back out comes Florges, and we're going to be able to reach one further Hydro Cannon and pick up the dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Annihilating the lead. Dreadful. We're going to say switch into Gary, and the opponent instantly answers with Magnezone. Holy. This looks absolute RPS at its finest. We land the Aqua Tail. Can we reach the next one? Of course we can't, as Volt Switch is double super effective, and we are in such a rough spot. I'm just going to sack the Steel Penguin and put it all on Dragonite, hoping we can power through everything, especially with an energy lead. Of course, I am going to shield up the Wild Charge. We're going to get a nice Dragon Breath farm down. Let's see if we can pull off the dub. We do get the Dragon Breath farm down. The opponent sends out Florges, and that is going to be the quickest top left of my life. In the next battle, we see Waterfall Gary in the lead. Not fantastic. We bank a charge move, pivot into Gary, once again drawing out Magnezone. Holy cow, back-to-back games. Not fantastic, but obviously last time we put it all on Dragonite and that didn't work, so I guess we're going to have to do something different here. Of course, the Volt Switches will do too much on the Penguin if I want to come in and Steel Wing farm down, so instead we send out Dragonite. It's very rare you see me go down 2 Protect Shields. We're going to try it and see if we can make something happen. We shield up both Wild Charges. We're going to get the full Dragon Breath farm down. As we've got no Protect Shields too high behind, a lot of Waterfall Gary have got Outrage. If they send out Gary, we're going to try and catch the Outrage back on the Penguin, stay in school, kids, and learn to count. Despite making a very nice catch, if I was a betting man, I would not be betting on me winning this battle. The opponent send out the big boy Snorlax. The Penguin fires off the first Hydro Cannon, the opponent still hanging on to 2 Protect Shields. However, this one should force a Protect Shield. The first Hydro Cannon forces the Protect Shield. The opponent looks for the Lick Farm down. The Penguin refuses to die. If the opponent shield this, we've got a shot. Hydro Cannon forces the Protect Shield. We've got the superpower banked. We're going to go for that wham, bam, combo play. Get that Snorlax off my screen. The opponent is completely energy dry. They've likely got Aqua Tail, which they reveal now. And even with a lower defense, Aqua Tail isn't going to get the job done. And by some miracle, we're going to pull off the dub. GG's, and thanks for playing. That last battle was a prime example of why you shouldn't top left too hasty, because it's never over until the fat lady sings. In the next battle, we see Primarina in the lead. The opponent save switches into the big thick boy. We're going to fire off the Hydro Cannon, forcing Chip and Dip, Shadow and Shadow Crime that does so much damage. That guarantees that we're going to be able to maintain alignment. We're easily going to be able to tank a Body Slam, and we're just going to throw that Aqua Tail, looking to get rid of Snorlax and just keep our super healthy alignment. Sometimes alignment's key. As is a Waterfall Primarina, despite our Dragon Tails being double resisted, Crunch being resisted and Aqua Tail also being resisted, we are going to do quite a lot of chip damage to them. Unfortunately, we don't get the defense drop. I don't think I'm going to reach one further Crunch. I think that Waterfall might lock out, so I just want to get off some guaranteed damage. Do I survive the Waterfall? No. So that was a good play. Well, it was alright. Let's not get too excited. We can now send out the Penguin. Moonblast does do a lot. We're almost at full health, so we know we tank one. The opponent now pivot out into Ursaluna. These tackles are resisted, but tackle does chunk, especially on a Shadow Pokemon. We force a Protect Shield with the Hydro Cannon, and then we send out Dragonite. Of course, this thing does have access to Ice Punch. Let's see what they throw. They throw a Thunder Punch. I don't really care, to be honest. I still intend to shield the next one in case the opponent try and 5-head me, thinking if we're shown Thunder Punch, they can sneak an Ice Punch through. I'm definitely not falling for any of that nonsense. We're just going to farm up to the double Dragon Claw. The opponent chooses not to invest that Protect Shield. Back out comes Primarina. We're just going to commit to fast moves here. Force the opponent to throw. The opponent take me out with the Disarming Voice. We've got enough health on Empoleon to come in, still wing farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see the battle of buff Pokemon, a matchup you certainly would not expect to see in Master League, or at least not last season anyway. Both of us farming up a boatload of energy. I throw the Drill Peck on the CMP type, not that I intended to CMP, we both just throw at random time, and we tank the Hydro Cannon, pivot into Gary. The opponent banks a boatload of energy and then send out Florges. Once again, pivot in has come in clutch. When you're on an ABB team, you always want to pivot, looking to draw out something that your second B-type doesn't want to see. Of course, Dragonite doesn't fancy Florges whatsoever. Of course, this is a losing matchup. We're not looking to win the matchup. We're just looking to bait this thing out. I think if you want to run this team, you could definitely run Goodra instead of Gyarados. That would definitely shore you up against Magnezone. Of course, you would be worse into the Fairies and Ice types, but I think that would just shore you up somewhat against Magnezone, which give me a huge problem throughout this video. The opponent actually go for a wham bam combo play. I know I tank the Hydro Cannon, and despite them having a Fairy, we're actually going to put it all on Dragonite. Dragonite comes in, gets the snipe, and we've got 2 shields remaining. Back up comes Florges, and the opponent is incredibly low. Fairy Wind, being a Mud Shot and Thunder Shot clone, despite being super effective, isn't going to do much damage. I don't think I can Dragon Breath farm down before the next Disarming Voice, so I opt to throw the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw forces the Protect Shield. Trainer, what's in the back? Of course we're going to shield up this Disarming Voice. The opponent not wanting to get farmed down, switch lock Skeledirge, and we've got a pretty clear path to victory. We're going to farm up, throw the Dragon Claw just before the Disarming Voice. We attempt to catch it onto Empoleon, the opponent actually over farm, but this is still GG's. Hydro Cannon forces the final Protect Shield. We're going to win the charge move prior event. Dragon Claw will be secure in the knockout, and we're going to be able to resist the Dragon Breath farm down Florges and take that game. So that is going to draw to a close today's showcase. That was my take on Empoleon Double Dragon Triple Shadow Edition in the Master League Premier Cup. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.